Hey, this is Mrs. Reichelt, and we just got done talking about aerobic respiration. Whoops, anaerobic is what I mean. And with anaerobic respiration, that's what occurs when there's no more oxygen flowing into your muscle fibers. So, the next thing we're going to go through is muscle fatigue. So, you know, a muscle is fatigued when it's no longer able to contract even with a stimulus. So, fatigue occurs when muscles no longer contract. So, a common cause for muscle fatigue is oxygen debt. And what that really means is that you can't take in, your body can't take in oxygen fast enough to utilize that to break down glucose using oxygen to make ATP. So, what happens is that oxygen must be repaid. When you don't take in oxygen, you go into anaerobic respiration. So, you make ATP and lactic acid. Okay, you also make some things called NAD plus, okay, and eventually you're going to have to use that to help to repay your oxygen debt. So this is all oxygen deficit. So oxygen is required to get rid of the accumulated lactic acid that builds up in your muscle cells. Um, so increasing also, lactic acid is going to increase the acidity, hence the name acid, and that lack of ATP is going to cause the muscle to contract less than it would have if it did have that oxygen. Okay, so there's two major types of muscle contractions. The first are called isotonic contractions. So an isotonic contraction means the same thing as tone or tension. So this is when the myofilaments are able to slide past each other during contractions. When we talk about slide past each other, that means like if you're running or something, your myofilaments are able to completely slide past each other. So the muscle is able to shorten and movement occurs. This is also going to be something like bending your knee. Okay, when you bend your knee, or rotating your arms, or even smiling would be another example. Okay, then we have isometric contractions. Isometric contractions is when you have continuous partial contraction. So this would be like the tension in the muscles are increasing. This would be like if you were to push as hard as you could against a wall to try to move that wall. The wall's not likely to move, but you're going to continuously contract those muscles. So this makes it so the muscle is unable to shorten or produce a movement. An example of this would be something like weightlifting. Okay, so those are the two different types of muscle contractions. You have isotonic, where they're able to slide past each other, like when you're running, and then isometric is when they're not able to slide past each other. An example of that would be weightlifting. Okay, so the last thing that we're going to go through on this video is really to talk about the effects of exercise on muscle. So exercise helps to increase muscle size, muscle strength, and endurance. So aerobic exercise is also called endurance exercise. Examples would include things like biking, jogging, cross country skiing, all of those kinds of things. It'll result in stronger and flexible muscles with a greater resistance to fatigue. These help to make the body metabolism more efficient. It helps to improve digestion and coordination. Um, the other type of exercise, so we have aerobic or endurance as one. The other type is resistance or isometric. This is going to help increase muscle size and strength. So ideally, you would be using both aerobic and resistance types of exercises to help become even stronger than you would have been if you just used aerobic or if you just would have done weightlifting, because you have a great benefit for either one.